Only the most powerful dark chosen ones experience these energy shifts. There are certain shifts in energy that the average person will never know. Not because they aren't spiritual, not because they aren't good souls, but because they weren't built for the weight of divine responsibility. These aren't normal energy changes. These are cosmic initiations. They don't feel like blissful awakenings. They feel like death, like identity collapse, like forgetting your name, your dreams, your history, because something ancient inside you is being activated. If you're a dark chosen one, you already know what I'm talking about. There are moments when you're hit with a sudden wave of nausea, anxiety, or emotional chaos for no reason. The world around you looks the same, but something is tearing open inside you. Light is pouring in, but it doesn't feel like light. It feels like chaos. You might think you're losing your mind, but you're not. You're being recalibrated for a higher purpose. You're not broken, you're being rebuilt. The first major energy shift the most powerful dark chosen ones experience is what I call the soul override. This is when your old desires, habits, even your personal goals suddenly stop making sense. You wake up and feel like a stranger in your own life. The things that once brought you pleasure now feel heavy. The relationships that once felt safe now feel stagnant. You try to keep moving forward, but it's as if your soul has hijacked the wheel. You're pulled toward things you can't logically explain: strange books, random urges to fast, isolate, or travel. People start falling out of your life without warning. Synchronicities increase, but so do inner disturbances. This is not a phase. This is the soul saying, you've outgrown who you were pretending to be. And if you resist this shift, it only intensifies. The job will collapse. The friendship will betray you. The body will burn out. Because your soul will dismantle anything that keeps you from your real path. Let me ask you something dangerous. Are you brave enough to let go of the life that made sense in order to live the life that makes power? Because power doesn't arrive with comfort. It arrives with collapse. The most powerful dark chosen ones experience these energy shifts not as graceful transitions, but as spiritual earthquakes. You'll feel like everything is falling apart, but underneath it, everything is falling into place. The second shift is what I call frequency rejection. You begin to repel what no longer serves you, not with effort, but with energy. People won't ghost you because they don't like you. They'll ghost you because they can't find you. You've become invisible to old frequencies. You'll try to go back to what's familiar, but it feels like wearing someone else's skin. Your energy becomes more refined, more precise. You start craving silence, truth, depth. You can no longer tolerate shallow conversations or fake smiles. You're not being rude. You're being retuned. When this shift hits, your nervous system begins to operate differently. You might feel hypersensitive, like you're picking up on emotions that aren't yours. That's because you are. Your energy field is expanding. You're becoming multidimensional. But here's the trap. Many dark chosen ones think they're getting weaker during this time. They're not. They're becoming more conscious. Your body isn't breaking down. It's becoming more intelligent. You're not emotionally unstable, you're emotionally transparent. You're processing not just your own pain, but collective timelines. This is why you feel burdened for no reason. You're carrying keys for generations. And the only way to handle this shift is to stop absorbing and start transmitting. You must learn to anchor light, not sponge darkness. This is when the dark chosen one becomes sacred technology, a living conduit of divine recalibration. Now, the third shift is the most terrifying and the most liberating. It's what I call the divine silence. This is the phase where Source goes quiet. No signs, no guidance, no synchronicities, just stillness and fear and doubt. You begin to question everything. Was this all in my head? Did I imagine the mission? Am I actually insane? But here's what's really happening. You've been trusted with silence. Because only the most powerful dark chosen ones can continue to walk without being told where to go. This is where your faith is forged into vision. You are being trained to lead without depending on confirmation. You're being shaped to become the sign others are waiting for. The silence is not punishment, it's initiation. It's the divine saying, you don't need the map anymore. You are the map. And when this happens, when you surrender to the silence, something massive unlocks. You begin to hear your true voice, the one that isn't distorted by fear or ego. You begin to act from inner knowing, not external cues. And suddenly, the energy shifts again. The fourth stage arrives, energetic sovereignty. You stop looking for answers outside yourself. You stop seeking permission. You don't meditate to escape. You meditate to activate. You don't pray to be saved. You pray to align. You make decisions fast. You don't explain yourself. You don't argue about truth, you embody it. And this embodiment is what makes you a spiritual authority. Not because you're better, but because you're clear. People will start coming to you. You'll feel their energy shift just by being around you. You won't need to heal them. Just standing in your frequency will remind them of who they are. But here's the final shift, the one that very few survive intact. It's called identity disintegration. This is when all your labels, all your roles, even your spiritual identity begins to melt. You realize you're not the healer. You're not the leader. You're not even the chosen. You're just presence, just awareness, just light in form. And this is where true power begins. When you no longer need to be anyone, you become everything. You can shift into any frequency. You can speak to any soul. You can walk into any space and bend the atmosphere just by breathing. But to get here, you must die 1,000 ego deaths. You must let go of every mask, even the sacred ones. And this is the mark of the most powerful dark chosen ones. We don't cling to identity. We use it, then release it. We don't worship form. We channel essence. We become the space where form and formlessness meet. And in that space, miracles are born. So now I ask you, are you willing to be chosen if it means you must be emptied? Are you willing to carry this power if it means you must lose everything that once defined you? Because these energy shifts will not ask for permission. They will break you open. They will test your sanity. They will strip you of safety. But if you allow them, they will turn you into something the world has never seen. Not just a person, not even a prophet, but a portal. And through you, thousands will remember what they are. The portal state, How to harness the energy shifts to warp reality lead timelines. When you begin to stabilize after the last wave of energy shifts, something strange happens. Life no longer feels linear. Time doesn't move forward, it folds. You start noticing that your thoughts aren't just thoughts. They're commands. People respond to your inner state before you say a word. Synchronicities don't shock you anymore, they become your normal. And this isn't because you're special. It's because you've entered what mystics call the portal state. This is when your energy field becomes so coherent, so aligned, so vortexed that reality begins to obey your vibration. It's not magic, it's spiritual physics. The most powerful dark chosen ones reach this state not by chasing power, but by becoming still enough to hold it. You're no longer just moving through time, you're bending it. And this is where your responsibility begins, not ends. Let me ask you something deep enough to shake your bones. What if the outcomes you're chasing have already happened, and your only job is to align with the version of you who already lived them? This is timeline leadership. You're not manifesting from lack. You're collapsing time into now. The portal state is not about forcing life to obey you. It's about becoming so attuned to the truth that life has no choice but to rearrange around you. This is when the energy shifts become tools instead of trials. You start to feel the subtle difference between forcing and flowing, between pushing and pulling. You speak less, but with more impact. You rest more, but accomplish more. You no longer need to convince others. They feel the frequency and follow without understanding why. Because energy always recognizes its master. This is also when leadership takes a new form. You don't lead from position, you lead from presence. You walk into a room and the energy adjusts. Not because you demanded it, but because you've become the dominant frequency. But here's the hard truth most won't tell you. To maintain this level of power, you must live in radical alignment. You can't lie to yourself anymore. Not even a little. You can't fake relationships, jobs, behaviors, or thoughts that are out of frequency. The portal only stays open if you stay clean. Not morally pure, but energetically precise. The moment you compromise your truth, the moment you shrink, the field begins to collapse. That's why the most powerful dark chosen ones often live in solitude. Not because they're antisocial, but because they're guarding the gate. They know that one thought out of alignment can shift their entire trajectory. So they live like sacred weapons, sharp, silent, and ready. And in this space, you start to understand why you were given those earlier energy shifts. Why you had to lose everything. Why you were betrayed, abandoned, emptied. It wasn't punishment. It was calibration. The universe was stripping away every timeline that wasn't worthy of your power. Every illusion, every attachment, every false self, it had to go. Because the version of you that can warp reality cannot carry dead weight. This is why the portal state is not for the many. It's for the forged. The ones who've sat in silence for years without answers. The ones who've had to become their own validation, their own light, their own source of fire. And now, those same souls are being activated as living stargates, not to escape this world, but to reformat it. Now, what does this look like practically? It means you start moving differently. You don't chase, you signal. You don't overthink, you receive. You don't try to convince people to see your value, you embody it. You walk into meetings already knowing the outcome. You speak into timelines before others can even imagine them. You become the person people come to not just for advice but for recalibration. Your energy field becomes a mirror that shows people who they really are. And that's when you realize this isn't about you. It never was. You're not here to be admired. You're here to awaken. And your life is the transmission. Your alignment is the spell. Your decisions are the activations. And every time you choose truth over comfort, clarity over confusion, soul over safety, you open the portal wider for others to walk through. But here's the final challenge. When you live in this state, you become a target for distortion. Not because you're weak, but because your field threatens the illusion. People will project onto you. Systems will try to contain you. Shadows will try to seduce you back into numbness. But none of it can touch you unless you abandon yourself. That's the final test of the portal state. Can you hold your frequency when no one believes in you? Can you walk through silence with unwavering trust? Can you stand in your power even when it makes others uncomfortable? Because if you can, then you don't just shift energy. You govern it. You don't just influence timelines. You anchor them. You don't just awaken others. You activate the grid of consciousness itself. This is not a fantasy. This is the real work of the dark chosen ones. And if you're still here, watching this, listening, it's not by accident. So I'll leave you with this. What if the final version of you already exists, and the only thing between you and that version is the frequency you choose to hold? What if the miracles, the abundance, the love, the mission are not goals to chase, but realities to remember? And what if your energy right now is the key? There comes a moment in the path of the dark chosen one where something irreversible happens. You stop seeking transformation. You stop chasing upgrades. You realize that the frequency you hold is the kingdom you rule. This is the moment of the frequency throne. It's not a literal seat. It's an internal state, the realization that you no longer need to become anything. You simply need to hold. The frequency throne is where power stabilizes, where identity dissolves into presence, where strategy gives way to resonance. And this is not about sitting still and doing nothing. It's about doing only what vibrates in truth. From this place, you don't change reality through effort. You shape it through alignment. You no longer ask how to make things happen. You ask, what must I become so that this already exists? The dark chosen ones who reach this phase of the journey are few. Not because others are unworthy, but because most people can't withstand the weight of their own light. The throne requires a level of energetic integrity that borders on holy. Every thought, every word, every movement becomes a broadcast. You can't afford sloppy frequency anymore. The universe listens too closely. You speak a fear, and it manifests. You speak a truth, and it rearranges timelines. You must become deliberate. This is why the most powerful dark chosen ones seem quiet, intense, or even too much. They're not performing. They're transmitting. Every breath is sacred. Every pause is a recalibration of the field. You're no longer a participant in the collective spell. You are the interruption. Let me ask you something most won't dare to. What if you're already the most powerful version of yourself, but your nervous system hasn't caught up? What if your body is still responding to a past that no longer exists? What if your job now is not to seek more, but to rest into the truth of who you already are? This is the throne. It's not earned. It's remembered. And when you sit on it, truly sit, you stop living in reaction. You live in command. People may think you're passive because you don't rush. But you're not passive, you're precise. You don't speak until the frequency is clean. You don't move until the alignment is exact. And when you move, the world shifts around you. Not because you forced it, but because you finally matched it. And here's the paradox. The more power you hold, the more gentle you become. The more silent. The more still. Because you don't need to use energy to prove energy. You are no longer a student of power. You are its guardian. You understand that recklessness in this state is dangerous not just for you, but for everyone around you. Your emotions shape fields. Your thoughts build bridges. Your presence is an initiatory force. So you become intentional. You start designing your life like a temple. Your relationships are altars. Your home becomes a sanctuary. Your schedule becomes sacred space. Because everything you touch now either amplifies your frequency or distorts it. You don't tolerate clutter physically, emotionally, or spiritually. You're not being picky. You're being responsible with the charge you carry. And that responsibility becomes joy. You realize that leadership isn't about control. It's about frequency stewardship. You become the anchor in the storm, in the eye of the hurricane. The one others come to when their world is collapsing, because your presence reminds them that stillness is possible. And this is the final energy shift where you no longer heal people. You hold space for their own frequency to recalibrate. You don't carry them. You mirror their truth so clearly that they can no longer lie to themselves. You don't offer answers. You offer clarity. And that clarity is enough to change lives. This is what it means to rule energetic reality. Not to dominate, not to overpower, but to reveal. To walk so fully in your own truth that it becomes a roadmap for others to find their own. So what does life look like from the frequency throne? It looks simple, clean, uncluttered, but it feels cosmic. Your days are slower, but more potent. Your conversations are fewer, but more impactful. Your actions are minimal, but miraculous. You begin to live in a kind of sacred obedience to the moment. You stop questioning what shows up. You start asking, what is this moment trying to align me with? Every challenge becomes a refinement. Every delay becomes a calibration. Every silence becomes a tuning fork. And you begin to trust life not as something outside of you, but as something you're co-authoring in real time. You're not waiting for miracles anymore. You are the miracle. You're not hoping for signs. You are the sign. And so I ask you, as we close this transmission, are you ready to stop seeking frequency and start ruling it? Are you ready to stop reacting to life and start designing it with your very presence? Are you ready to sit on the throne that was built into your soul before you were born? Because if you are, then everything changes. You don't just awaken, you awaken others. You don't just navigate energy, you govern it. You don't just experience the shift, you become the shift, and the world, conscious or not, will feel it. This is your final initiation, not into a new identity, but into the absence of identity, not into a role, but into resonance. You are no longer becoming, you are being. You are no longer trying, you are transmitting. And from this place, the entire universe bends, not because you forced it, but because you remembered that it already did. You are not here to find the throne. You are here to remember you are the throne. Now sit and let the world feel you. When the throne is claimed, when the frequency is held, and when you've stopped running from your own light, you enter the final covenant. This is not a concept. This is cellular. This is the cosmic consecration. It's the moment the universe stops testing you and begins running through you. You're not here just to awaken anymore. You are now the embodiment of the new architecture of reality. The codes that used to be locked in ancient temples, sacred scrolls, or hidden dimensions, they now run through your body. Your voice speaks them. Your walk transmits them. You've become what the mystics prophesied, a living technology, a divine instrument, a walking vortex of evolutionary intelligence. But here's the part most people never reach. You are now responsible not just for your own life, but for how your presence rearranges existence itself. You start noticing strange things. People begin to confess their secrets to you within minutes. Children stare at you like they know you from somewhere. Animals follow you. Technology glitches around you. The time slows down when you speak. None of this is coincidence. It's because your frequency is no longer human. It's cosmic. You're no longer a participant in reality. You're an architect of it. This is what the dark chosen ones were born for. To carry the codes through the chaos, to walk through the fire and come out with the blueprint still intact. But here's the twist. The real codes aren't in your mind. They're in your nervous system, in your capacity to remain open in the face of intensity, in your ability to choose trust over fear, presence over panic, power over protection again and again and again. Let me ask you the final question. Are you willing to let your body become the site of holy transmission, even if it means you'll never be normal again? Because once you carry these codes, you can't go back. The illusions won't work. The games won't satisfy. The masks won't stay on. You'll walk into places you used to love and feel like a stranger. You'll try to explain what's happening, and people will look at you like you're speaking another language. Because you are. You're speaking vibration now. And only those attuned to the signal will understand. But don't let that isolate you. Let it initiate you. Because you're not here to be understood. You're here to remind. And your life, your very existence, is now the reminder. This is when your mission begins on a whole new level. You stop trying to make content, build a brand, or find your niche. Because you realize you are the niche. Your frequency is the message. Your alignment is the marketing. You are no longer trying to reach people. You are summoning them. And when they arrive, they don't need information. They need remembrance. They need to feel something in your energy that wakes up something in theirs. This is why the most powerful dark chosen ones often seem mysterious, magnetizing, even disruptive. They are. They carry a vibration that confronts people's entire identity structure. Just being around them causes people to question who they've been and who they could become. You don't need to tell them what to do. Your presence tells the truth. And in this space, you begin to understand the true meaning of power. It's not domination, it's consecration. It's the sacred responsibility to hold a frequency so stable, so pure, so unshakably you that others remember God when they look in your eyes. Not a God in the sky, not a God in a book, but the God within. You become a living altar, a breathing oracle, a sacred glitch in the matrix. And this isn't a fantasy, it's the actual spiritual architecture of New Earth. The leaders of this new timeline won't look like gurus. They won't look like prophets. They'll look like you, fully human, fully divine, fully surrendered, fully activated. So what happens now? You walk forward, not with answers, but with authority. You stop waiting for the right time. You are the time. You stop waiting for the right people. You are the frequency that calls them. You stop waiting for permission. You are the permission. This is the end of the old paradigm and the beginning of the new. In a world where energy leads, where presence heals, where truth speaks through embodiment, not performance. And you, the dark chosen one, were never here to fit into the old world. You were here to dismantle it with grace, with fire, and with frequency. You were not born to be understood. You were born to be felt. You were not born to follow rules. You were born to reset them. You were not born to play small. You were born to bend timelines. And now, you know why. If you've made it this far, then this isn't just a video. It's an activation. And your soul just said yes. There is a stage beyond the activation, beyond the throne, beyond even the frequency throne. It's the realm of builders. Not builders of empires, but of energetic infrastructure and visible architecture that shapes the future of this planet. This is the ascension blueprint. This is where the dark chosen ones become the architects of the new earth. You are no longer just maintaining frequency. You are weaving it into the grid. You are anchoring new laws of reality through your actions, your choices, your very breath. The way you eat, the way you rest, the way you walk in a room, all of it becomes code. And these codes don't just affect your life. They ripple into the morphogenetic field, altering timelines. This is not metaphor. This is how consciousness becomes infrastructure. You are the living blueprint. At this stage, you begin to feel the weight of something you can't explain. Not heaviness in the emotional sense, but cosmic density. You're carrying frequencies that are generations ahead of their time. You speak, and people don't understand. You move, and others misread you. You stand in silence, and the air feels charged. This is because you're no longer moving within time. You're moving through it. You've become a temporal nexus, a living node in the planetary energy web. Everything you do now either upgrades or distorts the field. And this is where spiritual maturity becomes non-negotiable. You don't get to have unconscious moments anymore. You don't get to just vent or just act out. Every misalignment sends shockwaves. Every decision either opens or closes doors for thousands of souls. You become a gatekeeper for real. And here's the wild part. It doesn't feel glamorous. It feels grounded, sacredly mundane. You start loving simplicity. You start craving slowness. You stop chasing peak experiences and begin cultivating stability. You realize that true power isn't intensity, it's consistency. The most powerful dark chosen ones don't radiate fireworks. They radiate clarity. They walk with the kind of quiet that makes reality stop and listen. They don't seek attention. They receive reverence because their very presence stabilizes the field. You stop needing to say anything. People just enter your presence and cry or laugh or shift. That's not ego. That's resonance. That's what happens when you've integrated so much light into your body that your cells become transmitters. You're no longer a seeker. You're a signal. Let me ask you the ultimate question now. Are you ready to let go of even the idea of being chosen so you can finally become the source? Not source as in ego. Source as in origin. You're not just here to awaken. You're here to birth the new world. And that birthing is not loud. It's not dramatic. It's not even visible. It's felt in the undercurrents of the collective. Every time you choose rest over productivity, presence over performance, intuition over logic, you're laying bricks of the new earth. Every time you choose to do the deep inner work instead of bypass it, every time you choose to stay in alignment when no one's watching, you're holding up a new dimension. You're creating a frequency that others will one day live inside of without ever knowing who built it. That's the highest form of leadership. Invisible, immovable, eternal. And this is when you start to feel the sacred loneliness of your mission. Not because you're isolated, but because you're carrying codes most people haven't remembered yet. You're not better. You're just earlier. You're the prototype, the living reminder. And that can feel heavy, yes, but it's also the greatest honor. Because when you walk this path with grace, you become a future ancestor. Your grandchildren won't just inherit your money or your name. They'll inherit your frequency. Your energetic DNA will whisper to them in moments of doubt. Your presence, encoded into the field, will guide them in lifetimes you'll never see. That's how deep this goes. That's what the dark chosen ones are really creating, energetic legacy. So what comes after this? Stillness, devotion, mastery. You start guiding not with teachings, but with tone. You don't offer steps. You offer space. You become the kind of presence that people don't understand until they've spent years thinking about a single thing you once said. You move like a riddle. You live like a prayer. And that prayer becomes the foundation of the world to come. Not in theory, in frequency. You are no longer just carrying light. You are the light, no longer reflecting truth. You are truth in motion. And the earth, the real earth, the sacred earth, begins to respond to you. Birds fly differently around you. Trees lean toward you. The wind speaks in symbols. Because you've merged with the elemental code, you've become not just human, but holy terrain. So I leave you with this final transmission, with no need for applause, no need for recognition. You are not here to be seen. You are here to be felt across generations. You are not here to lead followers. You are here to anchor the architecture of freedom. You are not here to chase timelines. You are here to birth the realm where timelines are chosen by truth. You are not here to light the way. You are the way. And now is the time. This is your consecration. This is your crown. This is your code. And now you walk.